Welcome to Powercoat Music. In today's presentation, we're going to talk about the Tascam DP24 digital Portastudio and assigning inputs. When it comes to mixers, understanding a unit's configuration and routing features are major keys to getting the most out of that hardware. One of the unsung features of both the DP24 and the DP32 units are their flexibility with managing audio source input signals. From my perspective, the less restrictions a mixer has on input assignments and signal routing, the more powerful and attractive it is. DP24 has 8 inputs, which are inputs A through H, and each input has a standard XLR and TRS combo jack. You can connect an electric guitar without an amplifier directly to input H on the unit. Now, if you do this, you would need to set the line guitar switch that's on the back panel of the unit to guitar. However, if you use an active guitar or a guitar that has a built-in preamp, or if you're using an effects pedal setup and you connect that to the unit, then you want to set the line guitar switch on the back of the unit to line. Now, for more details on exactly how to do this and set this up, watch my video Tascam DP24 DP32 Digital Portastudio Recording Guitars and Internal Guitar Effects on this channel. In this presentation, we're going to discuss what assigning inputs means on the DP24. Now, along with this, we are also going to look at how to assign audio signal sources to things like mono tracks, stereo tracks, and the stereo bus setup on the unit. We're also going to take a look at how to check and cancel those assignments. So with this, I want you to sit back and relax, grab your tea and your coffee, and stay with me. You are not going to want to miss this important information. So let's start with assigning inputs. From the DP24's perspective, assigning inputs to audio source signals means that you are managing a recording source signal path for each track by connecting them to inputs A through H on the assigned screen. The base configuration when you first get to the assigned screen is that tracks 1 through 8 are assigned to inputs A through H sequentially. These configuration settings are loaded when you turn on the unit and saved with the song data when you turn off the DP24. It's important to note that multiple audio signals can't be assigned to the same track, but this is what you can do. You can assign an input source to multiple tracks simultaneously. You can assign a single source to a stereo bus. And you can record 8 tracks simultaneously. Now, let's look at assigning audio sources to a mono track. Before we get into how to do this, it's important to remind you that tracks 1 through 12 on the DP24 are mono tracks. When the unit is stopped, press the Assign button to open the assigned screen. Use the select buttons of each track or the cursor buttons to move the cursor to the mono track you want to assign a recording source. Press the source button of the desired input, which is going to be A through H on the unit, or you can turn the jog data dial to set the input source of each mono track. After updating these settings, press the Assign button or the Home button to return to the home screen. Now let's look at how you assign audio sources to a stereo track. On the DP24 and the DP32 units, stereo tracks are recorded simultaneously with no exceptions. There is no way to record just one track of a stereo track pair. Now, in my opinion, this is a flaw in the design. However, it's important to note that on the DP24, tracks 13-14 through 23-24 are stereo tracks. When the unit is stopped, press the Assign button to open the Assign screen. Use the Select button of each track or the cursor buttons to move the cursor to the stereo track you want to assign a recording source. Press the Source button of the desired input, which is going to be A through H on the unit, or turn the jog data dial to set the input source of each stereo track. Now your options for stereo tracks are going to be AA, AB, BB, CC, CD, DD, EE, EF, FF, GG, GH, and finally HH. After updating these settings, press the Assign button or the Home button to return to the home screen. Now here's a point of note. We talked about this previously. You can't assign multiple input sources to the same track, but you can assign a single audio source to multiple tracks. Now you do this by holding down the Source button for the input source you want to use, which is going to be A through H, and then by pressing the Select buttons of multiple tracks. Let's move on to how you assign audio sources to a stereo bus. One of the most overlooked and significant features of the unit is that you can assign inputs to a stereo bus during mixdown. This allows you to mix up to 8 additional input signals along with the 24 playback channels. Now when the unit is stopped, press the Assign button to open the Assign screen. Use the Stereo Select button or the cursor buttons to move the cursor to the stereo bus display area. Use the cursor buttons to move the cursor to the input source you want to assign to the stereo bus. Press the Source button of the desired input, which is going to be inputs A through H, or turn the jog data dial to set the input source to the stereo bus. After updating these settings, press the Assign button or the Home button to return to the home screen. Now, if you want to use an external effects processor with this device, assign the desired input, which is going to be A through H, that are connected to the outputs of the effect return to the stereo bus in order to return the effect signal to that stereo bus. Now, for details on exactly how to do this, watch my video, Tascam DP24 Digital Portastudio using external effects on this channel. Let's move on to checking audio source assignments. Once you update your audio source settings, you should always check them to make sure that they're correct. And this is done on the Assign screen. Now, in addition, the input source name, which is going to be A through H, is also shown on the level meter display section of each track on the home screen. Now, this data is saved for your song when you turn the power off, as long as the song protection feature is disabled. Last but not least, let's talk about canceling audio source assignments. This process is fairly straightforward on the DP24 and DP32 units. When the unit is stopped, press the Assign button to open the Assign screen. Press the F1 or Default button to initialize the settings and restore them to their factory defaults. Now, if you just want to start with a clean configuration or have clean configuration settings, press the F2, which is the Clear All button, to remove all current assignment parameters. In summary, when you're able to have a command of how you traffic your audio input signals on any mixer, then you're ahead of the game. And the DP24 is no different. Since on the DP24, tracks 1 through 12 are mono tracks, and tracks 13, 14 through 23, 24 are stereo tracks, then you should plan your track sheet carefully before you even start recording. Now, ignoring this suggestion in a recording session that has a lot of changes can leave you with mono tracks that should be stereo tracks and vice versa. And this can also make it more difficult when it comes to final mixdown when managing placement of your tracks in an audio field is required or may be necessary. So again, it's strongly suggested that when using the DP24, you plan your recording sessions carefully. Well, that's a wrap. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up and click the subscribe button on your screen now to join our group. We have new presentations coming out every 7 to 14 days, and we would love to have you be a part of our team. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. Now, while you're here, listen to some of the music, check out some of the other videos, and let us know what you think about them. And more importantly, the playlist. Check those out too. They're designed just for you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.